everyone, my name is Beth and welcome to my channel where I talk about cross stitch. I'm filming this on January 7th, so welcome to 2021. Based on the events of yesterday, 2021 feels a whole lot like 2020. Not that I'm particularly surprised about that. Not going to talk about that in this video, but here we are in 2021. I have taken a little bit of a break from this channel. December was a challenging month for me, but I'm back, I'm here, and I'm gonna do a review of the year of 2020 in my cross stitching and a look forward to what my stitching looks like in 2021. So let's jump right into it. If you have watched my mid-year 2020 video, I put a whole bunch of graphs and data on the screen. I'm not going to do that this time, mostly because it's a lot of editing work for me and also a lot of prep work for putting all of those together. But I am going to share with you some interesting stats about my stitching in 2020. So here I've got my my wonderful silk journal from Kitten Stitcher. All right, so in 2020, also, I have a new camera, a new setup, so I'm gonna try really hard to look at the lens and not the viewfinder, but I'll work on it. Okay, so in 2020, I started 58 projects. Let's just let that sink in for a second. I started 58 projects in 2020. Holy crap. 26 of those 58 remain as whips. I've got all my whips stacked next to me here. So 26 of my whips were started in 2020. I finished 37 projects in 2020. So that feels really huge, but I know a lot of those finishes are smaller finishes. Also, of those 37 finishes, 32 of them were of things I started in 2020. So I only finished 5 projects that I had started before 2020. One of my big goals for 2021 is to improve on these few numbers here. I want to start fewer things. I want to put more progress into the things I already have going. This doesn't mean that I'm doing no starts 2021. That's not for me. I still do want to start things. In fact, I'm thinking about starting something today. But the things that I start will likely go more to the back burner. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Okay, so I stitched a lot of gifts in 2020. I think that was pretty clear if you watched my channel. The number of gifts I stitched, or at least worked on, was 22. That's again a much bigger number than I would like it to be in 2021. So we're gonna work on that. The other problem with that number is that I only FFO'd 8 projects in 2020. So not all of those 22 gifts were finished this year, but a lot of them were, and not many of them have been FFO'd yet. So again, we keep foreshadowing the plans. Okay, and finally, for my stats to share with you, I worked on a total of 72 different projects in 2020. Wow. It's really cool for me to see that number because I stitched on so many small things and a lot of my whips didn't get as much love as I wanted. It's easy to lose sight of just how much I worked on in 2020. And I don't want to, not be proud of that. I am really proud of that. I think that's really cool. I stitched on 72 projects in 2020. Wow. Okay, so I am going to put together like a photo montage of my finishes of 2020 and put them at the end of this video. Hopefully I have enough editing stamina to do that. Hopefully I can find all of my projects or pictures of them if they've been given away. Anyway, I'll include that at the end of this video. What I am gonna do is a whip parade. So before we get into the parade, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I've got over here and again, some foreshadowing plans for 2021 so that what I'm about to show you will make sense. Okay, so as of December 31st, I have 35 whips total. That doesn't feel so bad. That feels okay. But what I've done to make myself put more progress into a smaller number of whips so that I can go towards finishing some things that I've been working on for a long time. I am going to, because it's 2021, I'm going to have 21 focus whips this year. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to completely ignore the other ones that are beyond 21, but they're going to be back burner. So I may pull them out for an event or because, you know, I really just feel like it and I don't feel like any of my focus whips, but primarily my effort is going to go toward the 21 whips in my focus pile. So I decided to divide up my whips by size. So the size categories that I've decided to use are, so what I'm doing is I'm squaring up the dimensions of my projects, and if you participate in Stitch from Stash, you might be familiar with this concept. I kind of stole it from there. So if you take the number of stitches wide your project is, and add that to the number of stitches tall your project is, and then divide that by 2, that essentially turns a rectangular whip into what it would be if it was a square. So projects that are less than or equal to 50 stitches square are minis. Then you've got up to 100 stitches, that's a small. Then up to 150, that's a medium. Up to 200 is a large. Up to 250 is a huge. And up to 300 or more is a BAP. Now, I have projects from all over that size spectrum, but I would like to keep it a little bit under control for my larger projects. I don't want to have 25 huge projects because I'm gonna feel like I'm not making progress on any of them, or that I'm really letting some of them languish, and that's gonna be a bummer for me. So I've decided to limit the number of whips in my focus group by size. So I have allowed myself 2 BAPs, 2 huge projects, 3 large projects. So large to BAP is kind of like a good chunk, and that's 7 projects total. So it's not like I'm, you know, totally limiting myself, but keeping it a little bit more reasonable. Now, my medium category is not only my biggest category in my focus whips, but it's also the biggest number that I have like in my stash and in my whips as a whole. And I just have a lot of medium-sized projects. I think that's a good thing. I think medium-sized projects feel like, you know, they've got a lot of meat to them. Finishing them feels really fantastic. I can't finish one in only a few days, but they're not so big that it would take me years to finish them. So I've allowed myself 7 medium projects. And again, with the small projects, I feel similarly about those. So I've allowed myself 5 of those, and then 2 minis, just so that I'm not like I did last year, cranking out the tiny projects. So that's 2, 5, 7, 3, 2, 2, adding up to 21. Those are my focus whips. To help me choose what was going to go into that focus pile, I'm using a few bits of criteria. I'm trying to avoid having duplicates of a designer or a particular type of projects really at all in my whip pile, but the way that I'm doing that is limiting that in my focus pile. There are a few exceptions to that, and I'll call them out as we see them. But so, for example, I'm trying not to have both of my BAPs be big, huge full coverage projects. I'm trying not to have, 4 projects by one designer going at a time. I'm trying not to have a bunch of black work things going at once, that sort of thing. So let's jump right into the whip parade. So we're starting off on the small end of my whips and going to the big end. We're also starting with focus projects. So everything you see for the first little bit here are going to be in my focus pile for 2021. Okay, let's start with the oldest one first. We have Autumn Gold by Mill Hill. This I started on May 1st of 2020. I'm keeping it in this cute little bag here. And this is how far I am. I just have beads left on this. I know that looks like it's a lot of beads, and it is, but I'm done with all the cross stitching on that. And that's what it'll look like when it's done. Okay, next in the mini pile, we have something I started during 12 days of stitching. I don't have the exact day I started it on, but this came, I don't know the designer off the top of my head. This came out of the Just Cross Stitch 2015 ornament edition, I believe. So this is a cute little Christmas tree. This is really close to done, really close to done. It's gonna get some like backstitch Christmas trees along the side and a little bit of like smearing across snow, and then it's done. So hopefully this will get pulled out soon and just finished up. And I've got this in a bag made by a friend of mine. And finally for the mini pile, we've got one that's maybe only arguably a mini. This is Blackwork Card Coasters by Peppermint Purple. And the reason this is arguably a mini is because each individual coaster is a mini, but I'm doing a set of 5 of them. So here's the first one all done. And this will be a gift. It was meant to be a Christmas gift, but we didn't end up seeing the recipient over Christmas because of coronavirus. So it's not done yet, and maybe it'll be a gift for next Christmas or just a whenever gift, whenever I finish it. So that's the second one I have started. And I've got a big piece of Aida to fit all of them on. So the way I'm sort of treating this one is that the current coaster I'm working on is my whip, and as soon as that's done, it's just being replaced by the next one. And I am keeping this in a bag from Redbubble, which I don't love Redbubble bags. I don't super recommend them, but the design of this bag is from Pure Dead Brilliant, which is a pin designer that I follow and love. She did the Buffy series that I have shown on my channel. Okay, so that was it for minis. You noticed I have 3, and my goal is to have 2. Yes, I am aware of that. My tree is so close to done that I'm gonna finish that up and then I'll be at my goal again. I'm still at 21 whips in my focus, I am short on my medium projects. So when I finish the tree, it won't get replaced by another mini, it'll get replaced by a medium so that I'm closer to my goal. Okay, so I have 5 small pieces in my whip pile, one of which I'm not going to show you because it's a new start from 2021. But let's start with the oldest one again. That was fun. So in my bison bag, we have Old Faithful, and this is by Barbara Bangser from the Posy collection. I got this at Yellowstone, and I started it on October 3rd, 2019. I'm doing this with the floss provided in the kit, but my own Aida substituted. There was nothing wrong with the Aida in the kit, it was just cut really small, and so it didn't fit on my Q-snap. So this is where I am. I don't have a ton left on this. I'm sorry, I am not cool enough to iron my projects before I show them to you. So what's left on this is I need to put the words underneath. I forget what it says. Maybe Yellowstone National Park or Old Faithful, or I don't remember what it says. But I have to finish off the geyser. That will be quick. It's almost done. But then there's like a mound of earth there underneath, and I think it looks kind of weird the way that it's done in the kit. So I want to modify it. And I think that's kind of stalled me out a little bit because I'm not totally sure what I want to do. Okay, so next oldest small I have this in a Denise Soden bag. This will be a theme. She is one of my best friends and also the artist of these bags. And this is called You Had Me at Flamingo by Hands On Design. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count Belfast Toasted Coconut by Color and Cotton, and I started this on March 11th of 2020. This was intended to be my smalls exchange for the Show Me retreat, but we weren't able to go to the Show Me retreat in person because of the coronavirus, so I didn't end up putting in the last surge to get this done, so it sat in my whip pile for a little bit. But it's really close to being done, and I just want to get this out of my whip pile because it's so cute. Really just the flamingos need faces and then this project will be done. There are a couple of like scissor fobs and things that go with this that I'm not sure if I'm gonna do yet, but super, super cute. I love this fabric. It's got like ever so slightly a pinkish hue to it, which is perfect for this project. Angela from Color and Cotton helped me pick this out. And I'm doing that with all of the called for threads. Next, we have Raven's Reply by Luminous Fiber Arts. I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count weathered shingle, and I started this on May 27th of 2020. That was during Mania. This one is also pretty close to a finish. Here is what I have. So I need to fill in the second color of the pumpkin and then do all of the like border fill in. And I believe that's all I have left. This was my first piece on 40 count, which is really special. And I like this project a lot. Oh, this was also in a Denise Soden bag. Adorable little hippo. Okay, and finally, in my small pile, we have my first Love You More Studio sleeve from this whip parade, and this is Cozy Sweater or Christmas Sweater, or I'm not sure exactly what the title is. This is by New Leaf Craft. I'm gonna put a picture here because there's not a lot of progress on this to show you what it's gonna look like. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count linen in J by Picture This Plus, and I started this on December 3rd, 2020. This was during 12 days of stitching. And here's my progress. This project is really fun. It has my first blend in it, which, I mean, it's not like it's that hard, but I've just never done it before, so it's cool to get to do it. Okay, moving on to medium projects. So as I mentioned, this is the biggest chunk of projects. Let me get them ordered 1 second. Okay, so oldest in my medium pile is in a Judy bag, Judy Starkey. You can find her bags in her Facebook group. This project is my oldest whip. This is, hopefully you could tell from the bag design, this is Piano Keys by Woohoo on Etsy. I'm doing this on just an 18 count white Aida, and I started this on February 20th, 2019. This is a full coverage design. I do have this in Pattern Keeper. That's how far I am. I'm a little bit over 40% done. I want to be realistic with my goals. I don't think I'm going to finish this in 2021, but the goal is to get it to a place where finishing it in 2022 is very doable. So maybe about half of what's left, at least, on this will get done this year. Hopefully you can't hear my boyfriend on the phone in the other room, and if you can, sorry. With, you know, the pandemic, it is pretty much impossible to film when he's not home. So next whip in my medium pile, we have a So Much to Love bag. I love these bags. I have several. This is I Forget the Rest by Lindy Stitches. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count Picture This Plus linen in tarnish, which I think is the called for. And I started this on December 30th, 2019. And that's my progress. I feel like I have good moderate progress on this piece, and this piece goes fast. When I put my head down and work on it, it really goes. So I'm hoping to get some good progress on this year. If not, maybe even a finish. Okay, next we have another Love You More sleeve. This is Black Lives Matter piece by Craft on a Silver Lining. I do not believe this is available anymore. This is on 18 count Aida, and I started this June 10th, 2020. And I want to be really clear every time I show this project that I am not claiming the Black Power Fist as my own. I am just stitching this in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, another Love You More sleeve. I've got my I Voted sticker on it. This is quite close to a finish. This is Impossible Odds by Whistle Stop Stitcher. I'm stitching it on 16 count Aida in River Rock by Color and Cotton, and I started this on the 4th of July of 2020. My plan is to finish this on Inauguration Day. So that's where I am. And as you can see, quite close to a finish. All the words are done. I just need to finish the border and the flag. All right, next, another Love You More sleeve. This piece is Frankenstein by Stitching Book Club. I started this on September 8th, 2020, and this is on a piece of 32 count Belfast from Ship's Manor. It was an orphan cut, so I don't think you can just get this color anymore. And here's what I have. This is quite close to a finish. I just need the border fill in left. I love this project. I love it so much. And I have 3 current Stitching Book Club whips, and this may be the first finish just because it's closest. Okay, and finally in my medium pile, we have Mon Beau Sapin. I don't know if I said that right. My French is like at a 9th grade level. 9th grade American level. This is in a Judy bag, and it's got the peppermint stripe on the inside, which I love. This is designed by Jardin Privé. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count Aztec red, and I started this on December 1st of this year, of 2020, during during 12 days of stitching. So that's my progress. Not a ton of progress, but I'm loving this. I'm doing this mostly in sulky with a little bit of DMC for the back stitching. All right, we're flying through this focus pile. Let's move on to my large projects. All right, so I only have a few large projects because I'm trying to keep it limited and realistic. The oldest one I have here is in a gorgeous Denise Soden bag. And this is the Emerald City Sal by Owl Forest. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count Lugana in green, and I started this on August 2nd, 2019. Now, this has a little bit of January progress on it, so keep that in mind when you see where I am. It's getting hard to show this all in one frame. I love this project, and as you can tell by the fact that it came out in January, this is focus for January for sure. Setting this aside because it's got to go back downstairs onto my key snap. Okay, next in a So Much to Love bag, we have Pride and Prejudice. This was another Sal by Stitching Book Club, run by Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. And I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count white Lugana, and I started this on September 22nd, 2019. This is one that I feel like I really want to crank out. Like after Emerald City, I'd really like to crank this out. So there's my progress. I've been alternating between the border and other things to keep me interested. but I have a deceptively lot left. These tables need to be finished out. There's a big urn here in the middle. We've got some words down here and finishing the border. So I still have a ways to go. But I don't want this on my web pile anymore. I'd really like to get this cleared out. I just felt like this one's been, even though I have older ones, this one just, I'm feeling it lingering. Okay, this one I actually don't have that much to go, so maybe I'll finish this one first. This is Frogwarts Year 1 by the Black Needle Society, and I'm doing this on 32 count linen in vellum by Picture This Plus, and I started this on July 7th, 2020. And this may be confusing if you remember that I finished this during the Frogwarts retreat, but there were some things I didn't like, so I ripped them out, and now I need to put them back in. So here's what that looks like. This hasn't been out in a while, so I love seeing this out again. Really all that's left to do is the Sorcerer's Stone needs to go here, and then I need to redo the words across the bottom. I'm gonna do them over one. I did them in backstitch and I didn't like them, so over one it is. But I'm pretty sure that's all that needs to get fixed. Yeah. So that shouldn't be too bad. I just gotta sit down and do it. Whenever I'm feeling the over 1 on 32 count, I guess, is when I'll pull this out. Although I did a little bit of over 1 on 32 count on Emerald City the other day, so I know I can do it, and I know it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so those were all my large projects. Now let's move on to huge. And again, I only have 2 in my focus pile. So if there's a whip of mine that you like, that you haven't seen yet, like, oh no, where is it? Don't forget that I have my whole back burner pile to show you still. Okay, so, oh, I didn't share that this is a bag made by the Black Needle Society as well. Okay, now we have a Love You More sleeve related to the Black Needle Society, run by the same folks. I love this sleeve, and inside of it is Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flower. And unfortunately on the tag, I don't have written what my start date on this was. I started this in like October or November of 2020. I'm doing this on a piece of 40 count shale, or this might actually be 36 count shale. Do I have it in the bag? I didn't keep the tag. I should probably write that on the tag so I don't forget. It's a piece of shale by Picture This Plus for sure. I think it might actually be 36 count. And that is my teeny tiny start on it, but I'm obsessed with this project. I love this project so much, and this will not get forgotten in 2021. No chance. I will not allow it. Okay. My other huge project, this is the, I believe this is a Momily bag. This came in the Emily's House kit from Lindy Stitches. And inside this bag is Autumn Quaker by Rosewood Manor, and I'm doing it on 28 count doubloon by Picture This Plus, which is the called for, and I'm stitching this on, sorry, I started this on September 23rd, 2019. So I started this right after Galleria, or maybe right before, right around Galleria is when I started this. And I kitted this up when I went to Kansas City. I went to I forget the name of the shop there in Kansas City, but I went to Kansas City and saw this and kitted it up there. So I'm stitching it in the Called For Faldani flosses. I made good progress on this project in September of this year. Before that, it had been really languishing. So that's where I am. I'm not expecting like to fly on this piece. This piece is kind of slow for me, but I'm hoping to get a page finish or two this year for sure. This motif is gigantic, but I think it's the biggest one in the piece, so maybe after that everything will feel downhill. Okay, moving on to BAPs. So first we have something that I don't really want to say out loud because my boyfriend's in the next room. That's what's in this bag. This is a Love You More sleeve. This is designed by Peppermint Purple. I'm hoping to finish this year. Screw the pandemic. I'm gonna find every opportunity I can to stitch this when he's not around, and I'm gonna finish this for him for Christmas this year. I've got goals to finish a certain number of squares of this per month. I'm doing this on a piece of 32 count antique white Lugana. Let me find where up is. Here we go. There's where I am. I haven't started any of the inside fills. You know, this may have to be a birthday present for next year because I still have the border to do. The border has got lots of fill in too, so. But big progress this year. It's happening. Now you will notice that is that my first designer repeat? No, okay. So I have 2 designer duplicates, I believe, in my whip pile. I have this piece and the Blackwork card coasters. Those are both Peppermint Purple and also both Blackwork. So that I was trying to avoid, but it is what it is. The other repeat I've got is Frankenstein and Pride and Prejudice, but they are varying levels of complete. Pride and Prejudice has, as I said, I feel like been languishing, and I really would like to get it out of my whip pile, so that's why it's in my focus pile. And Frankenstein is so close to done. I really stayed on top of the saddle up until the end border, so I feel like setting that on the back burner is really sad and a bummer. So that one I will also duplicate purposely. So my final BAP, I don't know who made this bag. This is Harry Potter book cover collage by Fox and Teacup. I'm doing this on 18 count Ada, and I started this March 24th, 2019. So I think this is my second oldest project. Inside of it, I have another Denise Soden bag. This is holding all of my floss. And again, this one has some January progress on it, so just know that. Really mostly what I did was some more of this green background here. So I didn't finish all the way across the top like I wanted to in 2020, but 2021, like this is a major focus project of 2021. I was showing this to my boyfriend the other day while I was working on it, and he was alarmed to see how much I had left in it. He was like, so you have like one more row underneath that? I was like, no, like 4. He was like, oh no. Okay, so you've now seen my entire focus pile. Let me take a quick break and rearrange some stuff, and then I'll show you my back burner pile. Okay, so my back burner projects. We're starting with smalls. Here is my oldest one on the back burner. This is a Love You More sleeve. This is Savor Every Stitch by Luminous Fiber Arts. That's the reason it's on the back burner, not because I don't love it, but because I have a Luminous Fiber Arts project already in my focus. That's Raven's Reply, and that one is closer to finished. Anyway, I stitched this on 32 count white Lugana, and I started it on May 8th, 2020, so that was during Mania. So here's what I've got. I have a good start here, and once this gets to come back out again, I think it'll go pretty quickly. Okay, next on the back burner, this is also on the back burner because of a designer duplicate. This is in a Love You More sleeve again. This is Happy Jack by Whistle Stop Stitcher. I started this on Halloween of 2020. And this is on a piece of Beach Brew 32 count linen by R&R. And that's my little start. Since I stitched so little Halloween, I would love to get this finished next Halloween season. Okay, next in my small pile, we have Santa's Post Office by Living on the Rainbow. This is 36 count linen in antique white. I started this on December 7th, 2020. This was during 12 days of stitching. And this is the bag I keep it in. I love this bag. I commissioned this bag from my friend Jen, and it's so cute. So this is a full coverage piece, and so the reason this is in the back burner is because I have 2 other smaller full coverage pieces going. I have Piano and I have Yellowstone. So once at least one of those comes off, then this one could come on. But I really enjoyed stitching on this during 12 days of stitching. I know it's a really small start, but I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to having this back out. So that's good incentive for me to finish Yellowstone, because Piano's not getting finished this year. Okay, next we have the Christmas Carol Sal by Stitching Book Club. And as I mentioned, I have 2 Stitching Book Club pieces in my focus pile, which is already breaking the rule. So this one has to be in the back burner pile. So this is my start. I didn't get super far. I didn't even get any of the red in on the first part. And I have a safety pin marking the top the way that's up, because so far it's the same all the way around, but I don't want to confuse which way my stitches are going. I started this on December 5th, 2020 during 12 days of stitching, and it's on 28 count vintage smoky white linen. Okay, moving into the medium projects on the back burner. In my Spidey bag, this is my Miles Morales bag. Love this. We have the Blackwork Sal from Peppermint Purple in 2020. And again, this is on the back burner because I have 2 other Peppermint Purples in my focus pile. I'm doing this on 32 count dark cobblestone Lugana in DMC 3866. And I started this, this was my new year, new start of 2020. So that's how far I got. Clearly I already backburnered this because I only got through like March or April of this sow. So that's where I am. I really like this. The white on dark is giving a really different effect than what I expected, but I think it's cool, and I look forward to keeping going on it. Next in my medium back burner pile, I have Hanukkah Star by Linda Jean Jenkins, I think. This is in the Just Cross Stitch December issue of 2020, I think. This is on 32 count linen in vintage smoky white, and I started this on December 11th, 2020. That's my little start there. I have my frosted pumpkin needle minder there, and I'm keeping this in the Love You More Hanukkah sleeve. Okay, now moving on to larges on the back burner. I have the most larges on the back burner because I'm only allowed to have 3 of them in the focus, so that's what happens. So this, again, made by my friend Jen. I love this bag. It's so cute. This has my only whip that I didn't touch in 2020. And that's because I just have too much black work going on and I gotta chill. This is Rainbow Black Work by Peppermint Purple. I'm doing this on 18 count white Aida, and I started this, I assume, during Mania in on May 5th, 2019. That's what it looks like. The tails on the back of this are much messier than the way my black work looks now. I've learned a lot. This was my first black work piece, I believe. So that's what my back looks like. I'm gonna see if I can clean that up a little. So just the first row done. This is definitely really backburnered. I still love this and I still want to do it. I just need to clear out some other things first. Okay, next, this is a gift, but on no particular timeline other than that it's from my grandma, and she is getting older and her eyes are getting worse, and so I'd really like to get this to her while she can enjoy it. This is Butterflies by a Russian designer that I'm going to have trouble pronouncing, Sasha Tereshkova. This is on 32 count Belfast in Sea Breeze by Color and Cotton, and I started this on August 22nd, 2019. Now, I know I just said I really want to finish this, and also it's on the back burner. I'm aware. I just have some larges that are like kind of close to done and have been going for a long time, and so this will come to the focus first of all of my larges. And that is Butterflies. I have high hopes that I'll finish this in 2021. Can't promise anything, but that's the hope. I have this in a Denise Soden bag. Next, in another Denise Soden bag, we have the long finished Woodland Sal by Doreen Jones, run on Lakeside Needlecraft website. And I'm doing this on the called for 32 count even weave in Woodland, made by Lakeside Needlecraft. And I started this during Mania of last year on May 15th, 2020. So I only have the first one started, but I've loved this. These are a little bit complicated, but I really, really have enjoyed stitching them. And I know that I'm not gonna make tons of progress on this year, especially since it's on the back burner, but maybe like the animals across the top would be cool. Again, that relies on me finishing projects that are in the focus pile first. Okay, next we have an Owl Forest project, which is on the back burner because I have Emerald City going. This is Carrot Forest. This is in a Love You More sleeve. I started this during Mania, May 22nd, 2020, and I'm using all of the kit materials for this. So I have a feeling this may languish a little, just because, well, you'll see. We'll get to it. Okay, next we have, in just like a random purple zip top, I think it's like a makeup bag actually. This is Peacock Keeper by Lindy Stitches. I'm doing it on possibly the called for fabric, I think. Only a tiny little start here. That's what I've got. Wait, is that going the right way? Yes, that's going the right way. And this is on the back burner because I've got another Lindy Stitches project in my focus pile that is much further along. Next, in a Love You More studio sleeve, I have Quidditch Jumpers. This is by Spells and Stitches. I'm doing this on 40 count light mocha, and I started this on September 1st, 2020, back to Hogwarts Day. And I have good progress on this, but there's deceptively a lot more still to go. I love this piece. Can't wait for it to get to come back out. And finally, in my back burner pile for 2021, this is my only huge project on the back burner. This is in another Denise Soden bag. This is 100 Owls by Owl Forest. And this is why I said Carrot Forest may languish, because even though this is bigger, I'm more excited about this. So I think this might come out sooner. Although honestly, if we're being real honest, I don't think either of these are gonna get to come out in 2021 unless I decide to do some rotating of what's in my focus. So I may say I did 2 pages on Autumn Quakers, I'm gonna put that away. I'll do 2 pages on this and then put this away, bring Autumn Quakers back out. I think that's probably a good system for me to not get burned out and not to miss some of my back burner projects, but we'll see. So this is my meager start on 100 Owls by Owl Forest. I'm doing this on a 40 count dark cobblestone and using the Owl Forest threads that it calls for. So that's it. That's my whip parade, folks. I did it. So that's all 35 projects that I have on the go. So now that we've done that, let's talk about the rest of my goals. I know I've talked some about goals so far, but I'll fill you in on everything I'm thinking about. I'm going to talk about my goals for 2021. So with the breakdown in sizes of my different whips, I'm going to attach monthly goals to those. So I'm going to lump together mini and smalls, and I'm going to lump together large and huge for the purposes of this. So every month I'm going to put 1,000 stitches into mini and small pieces. I'd like to try and pick a focus for each of these and put in 1,000 into one project, but I know that's not realistic for all the time. So It'll be 1,000 stitches into mini and small projects, 1,200 stitches into medium projects, 1,500 stitches into large or huge projects, 1,750 stitches into Harry Potter covers specifically. So that's why I said that project is going to be a big focus of 2021. And then I'm going to get 3 squares a month done on the project that I couldn't talk about. So those are 3 big squares of blackwork fill, and I realized that that may get me to the point where the inside part is all filled in, but the border is still left to go. So maybe this will have to be a birthday present rather than a Christmas present, but we'll see how realistic that goal feels. I'm definitely willing to adjust these goals if they seem way too easy, way too hard. But the thought is that once I complete all of those goals, that then I could start new things or work on whatever I felt like. So, or maybe even just get further in one of the projects I worked on. So that for now is the goal for every month. Additionally, I am going to do WIP Go again. WIP Go is basically a grid of goals, and then every month, usually 2 goals on the grid will get called. It's a group run by Jessie Marie Does Stuff over on Facebook. If you want to watch her Flosstube videos, you can find out more about it. I did it last year. Let me put up a picture of my WIP Go board from 2020. As you can see, I met a lot of goals and did not get a bingo. So I'm gonna do WIP Go in 2021 a little bit differently. I have some lofty goals on here, but I'm not going to wait for bingos to feel the gratification of success related to WIP Go. But I also am not gonna tie like a monetary reward or new starts or anything to actual bingos. I'm just like, the grid is just gonna be a visual. But really it's a list of goals, and they're gonna be randomly picked by Jessie, and those will help me decide what I focus on during the month. So that's the plan. I also am gonna give myself an FFO goal this year. I'd like to FFO at least 1 project a month. 12 total for the year or more. And these can be things that I FFO on my own, or things that I send out to be FFO'd, take to the framer, what have you. I also would like at least 6 of those 12 to be things for me to keep. I love stitching gifts, and I love being able to give them to people I care about. But that usually is the only motivator for me FFOing something. If it's something I've stitched for myself, it's going in the cabinet. And I don't really want that. It's just that I need more motivation to actually finish some things and display them in my home. So I'm really hoping that that goal will help kick me along. And finally, as I mentioned, that I am hoping to scale back on the purchasing that I'm doing this year, be a little bit more thoughtful about what I'm buying this year. I fell off Stitch from Stash real hard in 2020, and I'd like to try again, but addressing some of the things that didn't really work for me last year. So I talked in my mid-year review about how I didn't really feel like the credit based on the size, the height and width of a pattern really reflected the work that was put into that finish. So because I track my stitches on everything, I can use that instead. So I'm gonna make my own finish credits. And for everything I finish, for every 500 stitches in that finish, I'll give myself $2. I may tweak that depending on how that goes. Maybe that's too much, maybe that's not enough, but we're gonna start with that and see what that looks like. And then I'll give myself a $20 limit, so if I finish nothing, my budget will be $20. And then I'll do page finishes too, so I'll use the same stitch count credit system, but for a page rather than a full finish. So basically what I'll do is when I finish something, take the number of stitches, divide that by 500, and then multiply that by $2. Okay, oh, also for Stitch from Stash, I'm only gonna count charts, fabric, and floss. I'm not gonna count subscriptions or clubs, or like, you know, stitchy boxes. I'm not gonna count project bags, needles, all that kind of stuff. Not that maybe I shouldn't have a budget on those things too, but that's not really what I'm worried about. I'm worried most on the charts, fabric, and floss stash that I'm acquiring. Okay, there are a few other sort of lesson learned or notes, things that I want to cover about 2020 that I haven't covered yet. So first thing is that I did a lot of like start to finish projects in 2020. I started them, then I finished them, and then they were done. And I think that's great, but I feel like I did that too much to the point where it was detrimental to the WIPs that I had already going. So for the most part, my starts are going to go to the back burner. And I'm going to really think hard about what I'm starting and is this something that I really love, it's really important. I may start things on important dates. Tune into my next regular Flosstube about that because I've got to start. I'm thinking about doing that today. But they're not going to immediately be the thing that I focus on. I also learned this year that monthly goals are much better for me than daily or weekly goals. I enjoyed Arbitrary August, but it needed to be contained within August. I couldn't do that kind of thing for the whole year. In 2019, I did Magical Stitches and did a lot of daily, weekly type goals. And this year doing much more like monthly goal focused planning, that worked a lot better for me. So I'm gonna keep doing that with maybe the occasional like week or 2 weeks that I have some intensive specific goals. Another thing I learned is that December for me tends to suck. This year was particularly hard for me for a lot of reasons, mostly relating to the pandemic. But December in general, I tend to struggle with, and it's probably, you know, some parts, some seasonal depression stuff. There are probably a lot of factors that go into it. But what I've learned after having this problem 2 years in a row now is that I am going to just I'm gonna lower my expectations of myself in December, and I'm not gonna like pile on a bunch of goals and plans, and I'm just gonna relax. And if holiday stitching is important to me, I think I'm gonna prep for it in October and November so that I can pick up something and work on it, but I don't have a lot of starting happening in December. I loved vlogging in December, but not in December. I really struggled with that, and that's why I fell off the wagon of doing it. So maybe I'll pick a different month, maybe a summer month, and I'll vlog every day that month, or maybe I'll do a week of vlogging here and there. But December, I'm gonna be kind to myself and I'm gonna chill out on the expectations. I also learned that trying to watch every Flosstube video of the Flosstubers that I follow is not realistic. It's just not. I follow too many people. I want to watch everything they do, and I just can't. And being so far in the backlog of videos and, you know, watching 2-3 months behind is not bringing me joy. And so I need to acknowledge that, and I need to shift my thinking on it. So what I've been doing for the last few weeks is just opening my subscription box and seeing what's in there. And sometimes I'll see someone's video and go, oh hey, I want to catch up on a few of their latest ones, and I'll go and do that. But I'm not going alphabetically down my list and watching every single video until I'm caught up. On that note, I have a bunch of friends on Flosstube, and if I haven't watched your video yet, please do not take that personally. Know that if I had my way, I would have watched your video. It probably just means I haven't gotten to it yet. And for any of my friends, my followers, whatever, if there's something that you think that I would like, that I should watch, make sure I don't miss, feel free to hit me up, send me a link, whatever it is. I'm always open to that. Let's see. I learned in 2020 that the way that I was doing my spreadsheet for tracking all my projects and my progress on them was not working. So I shifted the way that I was doing that in the last 3 months of the year, and I think that's worked way better for me. So I'm going to implement that for 2021 and keep iterating on how I do that. Basically, keeping up with the spreadsheet consistently was difficult for me because of the format, the way that like it's hard to edit on my phone, and it was just giving me trouble. I found that having a notebook where I can just write it down made it so that I was less likely to forget, and then have to like scroll through my phone and look at screenshots of timers and stitch counts and remember what they were for. So writing it down seems to be working really well, and then every so often I'll go in and import that into my spreadsheet. I'm also simplifying my spreadsheets a little bit because I got a little bit excited about all the things that I could track and compute, and I'm not using all of those things, and so it was a little bit overwhelming to see all of it that I wasn't using. So I've gone through, I've simplified that. I've actually started over into a new spreadsheet for 2021, so it's nice and clean, and the only things coming into it are the things that I'm working on. So that's really cool. It's still my future goal to have a system that doesn't involve this spreadsheet at all, but so far we're not ready for that. In 2021, I started organizing my charts in Google Keep, which is like a note-taking type of app. I explored a lot of different types of apps, but for my needs, Google Keep seemed to fit the best. And I'm gonna do actually probably a video series on the way that I organize my stash this way. So I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but basically I keep pictures of all of my charts in Google Keep so that I can tag them, and I tag them with the things that work for me, and then I can keep track of them and I don't end up losing things in the big pile of charts that I own. So if that's interesting to you, if you like being organized with your charts, and maybe you're looking for a more digital solution or a more all-encompassing solution for organizing your stash, stay tuned. Finally, I talked about this in my mid-year update or review, but Pattern Keeper. Pattern Keeper was new to me in 2020, and it has been indispensable. I could not function without Pattern Keeper. I don't know how I functioned before. I only have 2 current WIPs in Pattern Keeper, but it's saving me for both of those. So loving, loving, loving Pattern Keeper. I have one more note for 2020, and that's that FFOing on my own needs practice. I have to keep doing it to get better at it. It's not my favorite thing to do. I would much rather spend that time stitching, but if I want to be able to FFO things on my own, I need to practice it in order to get better at it, to feel more comfortable doing it so that it's not so much of a chore. So that goes into my FFO goals for this year, but I wanted to call it out. Sometimes we just have to practice things we don't like doing so that we hate them less. Okay, I think that's all I've got for my 2020 review. By 2020. 2020 wasn't all bad, but for the most part it was real rough, and I am glad to see the tail end of it. But as we can see here in the beginning of January, it's not much different. I didn't have high expectations for it to be, but yeah, I think that's just a reminder that we need to keep supporting each other, keep being kind to each other, keep giving ourselves grace, and hopefully we'll have a good year together. All right, I'm gonna kick you off into hopefully what will be my finish parade, assuming editing Beth has enough energy to do it all. And I will see you in my next regular Flosstube video. Bye.